Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the 67th City Council. I'll call the second meeting of October to order, and we'll begin with a prayer. Reverend.
Let's pray. Eternal God, I pray to you, Lord, bless us and keep us. Make your face shine upon us and be gracious to us. I pray that we feel your presence during this meeting because you are with us wherever we go. Give us discernment and insight to make decisions that please you. And I pray that this meeting focuses upon you and your plans for us in Guthrie, Oklahoma. Let our actions in this meeting reflect our desire to build a community that gives our citizens opportunity to live, grow, prosper, and edify one another. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Father. All right. Can you join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Our second item on the agenda is public comments. Ms. Biggs, were there any signed up to speak? No. No public comments? All right, so we do have a proclamation. Our library director's here to give us, is that cool? Let's see, where is it? It's this camera here. Which camera is it?
There we go.
There you go. National Friends of the Library Week. Whereas the Friends of the Guthrie Public Library raises money that enables our library to move from good to great, providing the resources for additional programming, much needed equipment, support for children's summer readings and special events throughout the year. And whereas the work of the Friends highlights an ongoing basis the fact that our library is the cornerstone of the community, providing opportunities for all to engage in the joy of lifelong learning and connect with the thoughts and ideas of others from ages past to present. And whereas the Friends understand the critical importance of well-funded libraries and advocate to ensure that our library gets the resources it needs to provide a wide variety of services to all ages, including access to print and electronic materials along with expert assistance in research, readers advisory, and children's services. And whereas the Friends' gift of their time and commitment to the library sets an example for all in how volunteerism leads to positive civic engagement and the betterment of a community, now therefore, I, Grant Aguirre, Vice Mayor of the great city of Guthrie, Oklahoma, do hereby proclaim October 15th through the 21st, 2023 as Friends of the Library Week in Guthrie, Oklahoma, and urge everyone to join the Friends of the Library and thank them for all they do in making our library and community so much better. Thank you very much. For the promotion of literacy, and
Thank you, Vice Mayor.
thank you.
Get a picture?
You need a,
Yeah, I'll get a picture. I guess I'm your picture person. Yeah, honey, I need to know.
$5.
Now, who else was for which one? Would you mind getting up there?
$5, baby. That's what's gonna cost you.
Hey, just a second, smile over there. Sit in here and walk closer. You're all friends of the library. Let's get friendly.
thank you very much. Thank you. We very much appreciate it. Thank you. And thank you for coming. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Do you have any Bibles in that library?
I'm sure there are. Yes.
You sure?
I wanna go over each one of these.
All right.
Oh.
Thank you again. That's-
Thank you.
We appreciate the support of the Friends of the Library. Item 3 is the consent agenda. Does anybody have anything that they want removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to accept the consent agenda as published and posted. There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. Is there any further question or any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? Submit your votes.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituting the council, the motion passes. The consent agenda is approved. Item number 4, discussion and possible action to approve the purchase of 6 feet, or 6 inches, 543 MV, 140 horsepower Ram pump for $29,159, and a 16-inch 5731 MV, 50 horsepower 705 pump for $118,960 for the Public Works. Mr. Maker.
Vice Mayor, Council, the 6-inch pump will serve as a spare pump for our Cottonwood Creek pump station. Due to the recent experiences that we've faced out there with lead times on getting our existing pumps rebuilt, we felt the urgency of having a spare, also the age that these pumps are currently at. The lead time to receive this pump would be 14 to 16 weeks, excuse me. The 16-inch pump would be a spare pump for our backwash filter basins at our water treatment plant. This process operates off of 2 pumps. One has been down for some time. We just recently got it back up and going. The other one was taking its place. During that time, we've noticed that we was having issues with the breakers starting to flip, so I'm sure that one's starting to get some wear on it as well. When at any time that both of these pumps go down at the same time, we will not be able to produce water. Again, the urgency was felt that we needed a spare. Our water treatment plant is now pushing 20 years. We're starting to see some wear on some of the items. Lead time for these pumps are 40 weeks out. Kind of felt like it'd be important to have one of these pumps as well sitting as a spare.
Do we need to do anything to our water treatment plant? I mean, like, do we need to update some stuff on it, or is it everything, what do you think?
Right now, everything is still manageable as far as just maintenance-wise. We're seeing some long lead times on repair items, things like that. We're just, as these 2 items, trying to stay on top of those type of things.
Mayor and Council, I'd like to add that a couple of things. One, these items were not budgeted, so this will be an expenditure of GPWA fund balance. It is something that we discovered after the budget process. We did discuss it early in my arrival, so 1st of May. However, it didn't come up until after we've had the drought this summer and both pumps out at the Cottonwood Creek. So good expenditure of funds. Second thing I'd also like to note is that the supplier for these pumps is essentially the sole source provider in a 4-state region. That's Haynes Equipment. They're located in Oklahoma City. So in approving this motion, this item, we would also be waiving the purchasing policy requirements for 3 bids. We were unable to find another bid that would match these pump specifications and fit the equipment that we have in place in Oklahoma. So we did also explore Arkansas, but we were unsuccessful in securing another quote. So.
Where in the flats is the pump located?
They're not. It's not in the flats. It's Cottonwood Creek.
Oh, Cottonwood Creek. Sorry.
It's off of Broadway. Just before you get to the tracks, you can go back off up in there. We've got a lease on some
Property.
land back off up in there.
Thank you.
Any other further questions for Mr. Maker or Mr. Faulkner?
You didn't say the 6-inch was a replacement?
It'll be a spare.
Okay, good.
Both pumps will be spares.
We, at the Cottonwood Creek pump station, we've had one pump out for roughly about a year now. We got it back for just a short period of time. Didn't have it in the vault for more than 2 weeks, and we had to pull it again. Matter of fact, that one came back today. Still not fully up and running. While that time period went on, the other one was the only one carrying the load. It had went out there for a while. We went with no pumps in that pump station.
Any other comments or discussion? Is there a motion?
So moved.
There's been a motion made and seconded and laid upon the table to approve item 4. Are you ready for the question? Cast your votes.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituted the council, the motion passes. I will adjourn the Guthrie Public Works Authority and call to order the City Council of Tuesday, October 17, 2023. The second item on the agenda is the consent agenda. Are there any items that anybody wants removed from the consent agenda? Hearing none, is there a motion?
Motion.
There's a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made, seconded, and laid upon the table. Is there any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? Cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to constitute the council, the motion passes. The consent agenda is adopted. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on amending hangar ground lease agreement for site number 13 to reflect the accurate ground lease measurements and adjust the rates according. Mr. Young from the airport.
Thank you. In 2002, Gail and Barbara Braden constructed a hangar on what is now referred to as Site 13 at the airport. In 2015, the hangar was expanded so that it connected to the taxi lane. They added on to additional apron on the north side of the hangar. Upon completion of that expanded construction project, airport staff then determined there to be 3,545 square feet of leased space. When I arrived at the airport in late June, Mr. Braden approached me with a concern that that measurement was off. In that time since, I've taken measurements along with, I've compared that to Mr. Braden's measurements and the previous airport director's measurements, and we've all arrived that it should have been 3,225 square feet. So this amendment to the original ground lease would just be amending that rate, not making any changes to any future CPI increases or anything like that.
Are there any questions? When I went on the airport board, Mr. Braden asked me about this, and I appreciate the fact that you were able to go out and accommodate and take those measurements and accurately reflect the square footage of the lease. Hearing no other questions, is there a motion?
So moved.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. Any further discussion? Are you ready for the question? Cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituting the council, the motion passes. Thank you. I believe the next one is yours as well. Discussion and possible action designating the airport terminal as the Glenn Crabtree Airport Terminal. Mr. Young.
Chairman, I believe you skipped item 4.
It was.
Oh, I'm sorry. Item number 4. Discussion and possible action on approving the hangar lease agreement with Latham Investment Properties 2 LLC to lease hangar site 23E for a total of 9,975 square feet to build a hangar 50 feet by 80 feet and approximately 4,000 square feet. Mr. Young.
Yes, so Site 23E is a site that was recently added to the airport layout drawing. It's a lot in the corporate hangar development area. Latham Investment Properties is looking to build a 50 by 80 hangar, which would provide nearly $2,200 of an annual lease rent revenue to the airport. This property lease agreement before you in the packet is a standard lease term agreement. It's 30-year lease agreement with 2 5-year options for renewal. That's been the standard rate for this area and other areas around the airport.
Are there any questions? I will tell you that it is the direction of the airport board to come up with a comprehensive lease and airport and hangar usage plan, but that has not been adopted yet. And so until that is adopted, this is in keeping with the guidelines that are currently in place and the standard practice that we've operated with at the airport. Hearing no further discussion, is there a motion?
Motion.
A motion has been made. Is there a second?
Second.
There's been a motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. Any further discussion? If you're ready for the question, cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituting the council, the motion passes. Now we can get to my favorite item on the agenda for the evening. Number 5, discussion and possible action designating the airport terminal as the Glenn Crabtree Airport Terminal. Mr. Young.
Yes, regrettably, Mr. Crabtree cannot be here tonight, but Glenn Crabtree and his company began operations at the Guthrie Edmond Regional Airport 48 years ago in May of 1975. At that time, the airport was just a Guthrie Municipal Airport, but through all the changes over nearly half a century, one thing has remained constant, and that's Glenn Crabtree. His company, Crabtree Aircraft Company, has supplied a multitude of services, including flight training, aircraft rental, aircraft sales, and he's been a fuel provider for a good number of years. He also served as the airport manager at the airport. So basically, any aspect of the aviation business or industry, Glenn has been a part of it. He is well known not only in this area of Oklahoma, but all over, and his flight students have gone on to fly for major airlines and even militaries all over the world. For his dedication and service to the city of Guthrie and the greater aviation community, I'm recommending that the airport terminal be designated officially as the Glenn Crabtree Airport Terminal.
Is this for the new one we're gonna build, or is this right now what?
This is the current one.
Current one, okay.
What about the Adam Ropp Airport Station?
Station.
No? Just throwing that out there. Never mind.
You gonna put $1 million?
Send that back.
Well, we have a weather station out to the side of the runway. We can look at.
Maybe we can get that
We
one.
can get
All
that
right, we can get that one.
How about the Adam Ropp parking space?
Yeah,
One,
as long as there's a sign.
is that,
It'll be in the
As long
back
as there's a
40.
sign.
I was gonna say, they're gonna be the farthest to the south you can get.
You're right. In the grass area where there's no
Yeah,
asphalt.
where the stickers are.
The stickers are.
Mr. Crabtree was my flight instructor when I started at the Guthrie Airport. He had a flight school at one point in time that trained pilots that flew all over, as you pointed out, the world. There is no part of Oklahoma aviation history within the last 50 years that Mr. Crabtree hasn't touched, and so I think this is a fitting tribute to him. Is there a motion? I guess I would ask if Councilman Williams, as the airport representative, board representative, would like to make the motion.
Absolutely. Motion.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There's been a motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. If there's no further discussion and you're ready for the question, cast your vote.
I'll vote Saran.
It's with great pleasure that I announce that by a majority of those elected to and constituting the council, the airport terminal is now designated the Glenn Crabtree Airport Terminal. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.
Appreciate that.
Well, are you gonna have a party?
We are going to have a party out there for Glenn at the dedication of the naming. Item number 6, discussion and possible action on approving
6 minutes.
resolution 2338. I'm hurrying to authorize the submission of a surface transportation block grant urbanized area STBGUZA application to the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, ACOG, for a multimodal redesign resurfacing of Sooner Road between Division Street and Lake Road. Mr. Kasich.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. As you indicated, this is a resolution that would authorize the submission for this round of the STBG grants. Back in September, we got a call for projects from ACOG. Staff decided probably our best option would be to try to still continue to get funding for the Sooner Road improvements. Also, in talking with ACOG, it was suggested that we reduce the basically area or size of the project in that. So this project would be from the intersection of Division Street and Sooner to Lake Road. It would have a roundabout to replace the signalization there on Division Street. It would have a multi-purpose trail path on the east side, and then resurfacing of Sooner Road again to Lake Road. The total cost of the project is around $2.6 million. It's an 80-20 grant, so the city would be putting forth $533,261, and then the grant would cover $2,133,044. The pre-application was already submitted, and we got the go-ahead to put in a formal application, which will be due at the end of October 31st. So with that, I'll give it back to council if you have any questions.
Are there any questions?
What are the odds of us getting that?
They're better than they were. Yeah, I honestly don't know. You know, it's like everything where, you know, depending on the number of apps they get and the whole scoring criteria. Again, this would probably give us a much better chance than if we tried for the whole road or, yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to add, we're going to modify the design slightly. So the existing trail will move from the east side of the road to the west side of the road.
Oh, okay.
So hopefully that will encourage traffic, residential traffic, folks biking or walking to come to Guthrie rather than I-35. In addition to that, this result of the trimmed application, if you'll recall, previous year submissions from Division to Seward was about a $9 million project with 2 bridges. We had items in there that drove the cost up greatly. Between Dan, myself, and Tenny Maker, visiting with John Sharp, and the folks at ACOG, we've been told doing this project in portions while increasing pedestrian safety and multimodal transportation options, there's a greater chance of success. In addition to that, typical STBG allocations are approximately $40 million, and this year ACOG has $80 million. So we're hopeful. Appreciate Dan's work on this, Tenny's work on this, as well as Myers Engineering. So recommend approval.
Are there any further discussion or questions?
Just remind me, Dan, I'm on board too. Where does Lake Road? Halfway
Just
through?
right
or-
around Nelson Heights there.
Oh, okay,
As
that
you go
addition
south
you
there,
mean?
yeah, that addition, kind of Nelson Heights there, right, that would be on, basically that intersection is right to the south of Nelson Heights.
I have a nice road to get to work.
I mean, it says Lake Road. I assumed the road that goes to the lake.
Yeah, that wouldn't have improvement, but that port, it would go to that port.
It doesn't go all the way down to that gas station in the Rockaway.
No,
That's
because
way
that's
down there.
Seward, yeah,
Yeah,
that was
okay,
the
yeah.
original application.
I see.
Yeah.
Is there a motion?
I'll make a motion.
There's a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. If you're ready for the question, cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituted council, the motion passes. Thank you, Dan. Item number 7, discussion and possible action to approve resolution number 2023-39 for bridge inspection on the 11 bridges that fall within the responsibility of the city of Guthrie. Mr. Maker.
Vice Mayor, Council, this is a routine procedure for us. ODOT provides the city with a list of engineers, pre-qualified engineers. We get the option to interview these engineers, select 3 of them, interview them, put them through an interview process, and select who we would like to do our inspections on our bridges. Staff has interviewed CEC, Guy Engineering, and Burgess and Nyepel. We have provided you with a resolution to select Burgess and Nyepel for our upcoming bridge inspections.
Is there a motion to accept Burgess and Eiffel pursuant to Resolution 2023-39?
Motion.
There's been a motion made. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded and laid upon the table. Further discussion? Not. If you're ready for the question, cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received the majority of those elected to and constituted council, the motion passes.
No.
Item number 8, a proposed executive session pursuant to authority of Title 25 of the Oklahoma Statute, Section 307, as follows. A 307B3, for the purpose of discussing the purchase or appraisal of real property. Is there a motion to adjourn to executive session? So moved.
Second.
There's a motion made and seconded. There is no debate on a motion to adjourn. Cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to and constituted the council, the motion passes. We will be back shortly, and we will resume the meeting after executive session. back to order, and note that there was no action taken in the executive session on item number 8. So we've returned to open session, consideration and action regarding purchase of appraisal of real property. At this point, there's no action that needs to be taken on items related to the real property. Yes?
We have to vote back in.
Oh, vote back in. All right, sorry. Is there a motion
So
to
moved.
reconvene?
Second.
Motion made and laid upon the table, cast your vote.
All votes are in.
Having received a majority of those elected to constitute the council, we are reconvened. All right, as I noted before, there was no action taken in the executive session, and there will be no action taken on items 8 and 9, or 9, I'm sorry, 9 and 10. 8 and 10. 8 and 10. Item number 11, the city manager's report, Mr. Faulkner.
Yes, Mayor and Council, as you can see, we got some new technology here in the council chambers. This allowed us to take care of multiple issues at one time. These TVs will be smart TV capable, so we can do training exercises, other things in this room that we were using them for before that required a projector and a computer, we can now use in the TV. The TVs that were in here, we repurposed into other departments that also had needs, the planning department, the HR department, and the clerk's office. So we were able to take care of multiple needs with one use, and that is why you see the new TVs in here.
So we can start watching football games?
There will be no football games in the chambers, sir.
Oh, man, you just ruined my day. Oh, well.
Do have a brief update for you on the pool. Brothers Construction has determined the plumbing is completely deteriorated. So how the plumbing has been operating out at the pool is unbeknownst to any of us, because the construction company tried to put a pressure gauge on the plumbing and they couldn't get a read. So that pretty much told us what we needed to know as far as the plumbing goes. The construction company is on site this week performing the acoustic testing on the concrete. So that should determine elasticity, longevity left of the concrete structure itself. In addition to that, Myers Engineering is preparing an ADA report. If any remodels were to take place, what the state health department would require to continue operation or move forward with a renovated operation. I hope to have something for you at your next council meeting. If not sooner, if we get it sooner, I will send out an email and let you know as soon as possible. Perhaps we could schedule a special meeting if we need to get this taken care of and determine a path forward. As you are probably aware, Bluegrass Festival took place last week. They had great attendance, weather was good. Thankfully, there was no rain. It's my understanding it usually is a mud pit by Friday night. In visiting with a few of the board members, they had a record-breaking year in number of campers. I believe attendees were up as well. However, I'm told over 260 folks came and camped out at the Cottonwood Flats, at least for the end of the week. So several of those folks stayed an entire week before. So, great event. We appreciate their continued success. In addition to that, we had Midwest Lift Fest taking place out in Vance over the weekend, charity event which benefits the Make-A-Wish Foundation. They had great attendance and great weather as well, so event organizers, when I went out on Saturday, were very, very pleased. Last week, myself and the fire chief met with the county clerk and the county commissioner, Mark Sharpton, to discuss potential EMS issues out in the South County Waterloo area. We're trying to get ahead of the curve on some EMS items of discussion. I will keep you apprised of that. The county appears to be ready to work with us, as well as mutual aid partners, Deer Creek and Oak Cliff Fire Station. We're not sure what our role will be at this point. However, the short story is Edmond, the city of Edmond's EMS provider, which is currently IMSA, will be changing to AMR December 1. Unbeknownst to everybody involved. IMSA was providing coverage area outside of the city of Edmond. It wasn't inside the city of Guthrie. However, it was North Waterloo area. So there's a small area that could face a lack of service. And thankfully, Chief Lawson has been out in front of it to make sure that our residents out, even though they're in the county, that they don't lose service. So, sales tax collections, if you saw my email last week, they're 0.11%, so $891 more than what we projected in the budget. That makes me ecstatic because that means we're budgeting on a good model. If you're too high or too low, that you're not budgeting in the proper manner. However, I will say, in comparison to the same month last year, we were 6% higher. So we're on the trend up, but we did account for those revenues in this budget cycle. Senator Mullen came out last week to the Chamber Investor Picnic. We were able to visit with his field representative, Crystal Campbell, whom I happen to work with in Rogers County. So I look forward to some partnerships in the future. Senator Mullen's brother-in-law happens to be one of the Guthrie Public Schools principals, Dusty Throckmorton. Yeah. So that's his brother-in-law. So he does have some local ties to Guthrie. I look forward to some partnership in the future. Coming up this weekend, we've got the Wine and Craft Festival, which will be Saturday. In addition to those events, staff did apply for an airport terminal grant through the OAC. Airport board members, I know you guys saw that. Given the climate in Washington today, we're not necessarily relying on the funding that has been earmarked because it hasn't been granted. So until that budget has been approved, we may never have the monies that Congresswoman Bice has graciously allocated to the terminal. So staff has evaluated supplemental funding sources through the OAC, and I will keep you apprised of that. In addition to that, the last thing I'll have for you, the water main projects and the sewer project that we brought before you at the last meeting, those projects are currently out for bid. We will open bids on October 31st at 10 a.m. and bring those back to you, hopefully the first meeting in November for approval, so we can get started on some projects. Other than that, I want to thank the staff. We've been working tirelessly on some events here in town, and EMS, they've done a good job. Public Works worked on a water leak today, and so want to reiterate, the staff continues to do a good job, and they don't unanswer the call, so they're always there for you. So with that, Mayor, that's all I have.
Thank you. Requests and comments from the City Council. Councilman Williams.
Nothing. Everything's good.
Thank you. Councilman Taylor.
Thank you, staff. I know you all worked hard today to get things put together, and I appreciate the ones that's kind of hanging around. I know a bunch went home. They probably had a long day. I think the TVs are great. That's going to be outstanding. People could at least, you can see it and we can see it. So, and also, I was the Bluegrass. I worked on Saturday, and you're exactly right. There was a record number of people came in. I think we had 350 people that we signed in that morning, so that tells you how busy it was. So I think it was outstanding, and then we've got several things coming up, and other than that, that's it.
Councilman Robb.
I want to thank Dan and his team. They're helping me out with some issues we're having over in Ward 1, and they've been really good and very thorough, so I appreciate that. And other than that, that's all I have.
Thank you. I'd like to thank Councilman Robb for representing me at the Eastern Stars opening at the Temple this past Sunday. I had a conflict that came up at the last minute, and so he graciously agreed to step in. I am certain that your speech to them, given the amount of time that you had to prepare, was absolutely stellar and brilliant, but I appreciate you stepping up and taking that for me.
You're welcome.
And that's all I have. If there's no objection, if there is no objection with unanimous consent, we will stand adjourned.